My name is Robert, and I wanted to touch on the topic of who we are as practitioners and students of the English language arts. Personally, as someone who is not only studying English as a degree, but also as a profession to teach, I wanted to present my own autobiography, touching on my experience with reading, speaking, listening, and writing English. I'm going to start with reading simply because that is my greatest joy when it comes to the English language. When I was in first grade, I was placed in an extra reading class because my teacher did not believe I was at the level I should have been for first grade. This event was extremely isolating for me and difficult to accept. Besides, I found that the extra instructions outside of the classroom during art time was very unfair. However, I harnessed these frustrations and put them into the subject itself and believe that it all turned out for the best. I absolutely love to read and spend a lot of time doing it. I probably have way too many books on my to read list, but that never hurt anyone, so it probably won't change. Anyways, this poor experience with reading actually turned out to be pretty great, and it's one of the best parts of who I am now. My experience with spelling and writing has a similar story, but I don't really want to touch on that specifically. Let's just say that my spelling never took off like my reading, and it's something that I struggle with today. But hey, at least modern technology and using resources that are provided to me, I can get away with this horrible trait of mine and still function effectively as an adult. When it comes to writing, though, I have to say I really enjoy it. Mostly short stories, some poetry, and definitely letters to loved ones. I always put on this persona of some kind of great writer from the British Romantic period when I write. I guess I feel like it adds a little flavor to my writing. The third domain that I mentioned, speaking and listening, is actually very different from the other two areas of my life when it comes to my relationship with the language. When I was born, I had a cleft lip and palate, which resulted in me needing a lot of surgeries and reconstructive work done in order to help me breathe and speak properly. As I'm sure you can imagine, this left me with a scar on my lip that brought a lot of questions from my classmates when we were young. It was an isolating situation and kind of embarrassing. It was so obvious of a trait that everyone else kind of looked at me a little bit differently. I didn't talk much in school when I was young because of it. However, as I grew up, I learned to live with it and accept it as a part of who I was. I learned to value my originality more and grew stronger in voicing my thoughts and beliefs, which in turn built my relationships with others. After all, isn't that the point of our language? In the end, isn't the fundamental reason to why we read, write, and speak English is to build relationships and community with those around us? Lastly, I wanted to touch on a role model that I discovered through reading. C.S. Lewis is hands down my favorite author. I devoured his Narnia Chronicles when I was a kid, and I've read several other writings of his throughout my life. I believe it's important for all of us, as students and practitioners of the English language arts, to look to others first, to see who they are and how they manipulate our language in order to build relationships and community. The English language cannot be learned and experienced in a vacuum. We have to look to others as much as to our own experiences when grappling with the English language arts. Well, that's my 2 cents, anyways, and some of my personal experiences with the language. Anyways, thanks for listening.